if you own a business, maybe it's an apartment, maybe it's a small business downtown, wherever you're at, you just want to know who has access to it. With GeoKey, you know who has access at what times and what days. We're customizable for that regard. And it's honestly, at the end of the day, it's just that security and that peace of mind. You know who has access to your property.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, this is Max Pittman from WriteForMe, and you're listening to another episode of the Business Ninjas podcast, where we meet the experts who are making things happen and scaling their businesses. And today we're talking about GeoKey with David Warneke, who is the Director of Client Services at GeoKey. David, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to dive into all the great things you guys are doing there at GeoKey. And for everyone who isn't aware of who GeoKey is, GeoKey is an access control space. Company's been around since 2018, and they provide cutting edge access control and security solutions for a wide variety of different industries. So I'm excited to kind of dive into what those industries look like and who you partner with and why you partner with them. But before we jump into that, our community is built of executives, entrepreneurs, lots of sales and marketing leaders, and maybe some potential prospects for you guys. So I'd love it if you can, tell our community a little bit about yourself, David, and some of the things you're focused on.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm David Warneke, Director of Client Services at GeoKey. I've been in the tech field for about 6 years now through 2 different companies. Recently now I'm at GeoKey, just navigating in a startup life, what that is like, how we are scaling. What's really cool about seeing a business that is small, but continually and exponentially growing. So being a part of that from basically the start to where we are now, it's super exciting to be a part of it and learn. Excited to be here and talk to you guys a little bit and just give you some knowledge of what I have.
I love it. And you're based in currently in Omaha, right? Is that where the company's based as well?
Yes, we are all here.
I love it. And so, what brought you to GeoKey specifically? Like, what do you love about working there?
A couple things, actually. So I was at a more of established company before this. Nothing but good things to say about that. But when you're at bigger companies, you feel almost not like potentially like a cog in the wheel of like, hey, this is your role, this is what you do, now do it well. And you're almost boxed to a certain extent. But coming to a startup company where it's like, hey, you do this, you do that, can you do this, can you handle this? And it's just like what I like, and honestly a huge reason I'm still here is just like the difference of what your day-to-day looks like. I don't get bored here because 1 minute I am doing Director of Client Services tasks. Others, I'm helping the sales team point towards certain people who to cold call by pulling leads. Other times it's helping marketing or doing videos. I'm always on my toes, which makes me a big fan. And I'm one of those guys that can get bored fairly easy if I do the same thing over and over and over. So I like how the routine is almost no routine. So that's a huge fan of that part. I'm on my toes.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. Like we're in a lot of different hats, learning. Ideally, because then you can start learning a lot of different roles, and you can apply what you've learned to to this current role and to future roles you end up at as well. And it kind of sounds like you like being almost like a small fish in a small pond,
yep.
versus maybe that small fish in a big pond. Yeah, so I know exactly where you're coming from.
It's been very exciting since day one. Been here for about 1.5 years, and it's just constantly learning, constantly growing. That's why I'd recommend people who might not be in a startup company, like you're going to learn so much about business if you choose to make the leap. It's not for everybody because honestly, work a lot, work hard. It's just sometimes it's like, what is going on because we're learning. But if anybody's thinking about it, like you have the chance to take the quote unquote risk to it, I couldn't recommend more because I've learned so much more and become more business savvy than I would have been at the last couple places I worked at, actually.
Yeah, startup life. Yeah, you never know kind of what you're going to get, what flavor it is, but it's kind of a learn fast and break things environment, right? You have
Yes.
the ability and opportunities to do a lot and to provide a lot, and what you get in is what you're going to get out of it. So yes, it is a risk, but if there's that product market fit and leadership is there, and leadership gives you the opportunity to do what you can with your opportunity and internally, then ideally then you're putting yourselves in the position to grow and scale and ideally be on a rocket ship.
Yes.
So with that in mind, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I know I've imagined pitching my own idea on Shark Tank. So I'd love it if you can give me GeoKey's elevator pitch. What problem does GeoKey solve?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, GeoKey, we're a mobile access control company. So for those of you not familiar with access control, think of it how you get into your doors. So when you go to the gym, you use a key. Is it a key fob? For your apartment, is it a key fob? Or work, is it a key card to scan in? That's what access control is. And we took it, the founder, Brandon Peterson, owned 24/7 gyms. This is how we got started. And they were using key fobs, which are okay. They're a little outdated now, but people would just pass those fobs around. And then, hey, who's coming in my gym? There's more liability, lost revenue. But then he had the idea of like, well, what's something people don't pass around? It's cell phones. People don't say, hey, my buddy, here's my phone, give it back to me in 3 or 4 days. Nobody even does that with their significant other. So we provide that extra security because, hey, you have your phone on you more than anything else. When our technology, when you open a door with our phone, with your phone, it timestamps it. So you own a business, you know who exactly is coming into your business, at what time, in what day, timestamps it automatically, and you can control that as well. So for example, Max, if you own your own business, it's like, hey, you have an employee, we don't work Saturdays and Sundays, you don't have to give them access Saturday and Sundays, right? So you get more insight of who's coming in. Then we provide a lot of insights as well through our software, whether it be for like gyms. Hey, we have a popular day on Saturday. Maybe we need to staff up, do a merchandise sale because we have a lot of foot traffic in on Saturdays. Can we boost revenue that way? But we put all the technology on our phone. What separates us from other competitors in the market is we are a software only company. We partner with amazing hardware manufacturers. Port is our custom product line for deadbolts, handles, and more. We have Master Lock, Carry Systems, and a lot of great partners that make us great at what we do. So we get to focus all of our time on our software. We talk to our clients, what are things you want to see? What are features you wish we had? And we can develop that because there's great people, great companies that make great hardware. So we just partner up and we have great partnerships from that.
Love it. That's super helpful to kind of get a breakdown of a little bit of the origin story, I guess, into how your organization was formed and where the gap was that that your owner found when he was kind of going through trying to figure out the best way to secure his property, right? So I appreciate you sharing that, and also a little bit around like the technology that you guys are focused on building on and the partnerships as well. A couple of things I think I'll want to touch on here in a second, but before we do that, can you tell me? You mentioned gyms. You mentioned maybe some retail. I assume you after our conversations that you guys talk a lot to apartments and big living. I don't know how to describe that space. It's kind of off the top of my head. But what are the top verticals that you guys service?
Yeah, so apartment complexes or communities. Mm-hmm. That's really what we're all in on right now. And so we're working on, to kind of segue back into what I said about features being software, we are integrating with property management softwares to help those developers and those property managers have more of a streamlined life and work life. Mainly apartments is what we go after, but we work with anybody. There's no business too small or too large to work with GeoKey. That's the great part about it. So we have gyms, we have a lot of apartments online, we have HOA communities, we have people that we control padlocks. We have like storage and other people landscaping companies that use padlocks. We have restaurants just because they want to see, hey, this back alley door for employees to come in. They only want to have access there. Co-working spaces. Any industry we're pretty much in. We're in a number of churches and schools as well, just because that's a very, those specific ones like that security and that peace of mind as well. So top verticals though, it's 100% the multifamily apartments communities aspect, but we work with everybody.
Yeah, I love it. It makes sense. Like I've just thinking about my own experience, like a friend of mine, like he used to, have to like throw his key fob down, a few flights of stairs outside to like go ahead and let me in, right? It was
Yep.
just a hassle. Always calling him, be like, hey, can you come let me up? Or hey, will you come like throw me your key kind of thing? Or is there anyone else coming in so I can walk in with them kind of at the same time, but I still need a fob to get up the elevator. It was always a big cluster. So eventually like the building upgraded and they put in, I'm not sure the technology they put in, but he just texted me a code to my phone
Yep.
and I put that code in. Do you guys have like technology like that as well?
Yeah, I mean, with our, not to nerd out too much, but we're based on geofencing. GeoKey is geofencing. So we basically draw geofences and say, hey, you can have access if you're within the geofence. So we can draw a geofence as large as you want. So your friend in his apartment, you call him and say, hey man, I am here. He can just swipe on his phone. The door is going to unlock and then you're in the building. We also have the ability to do guest passes. So let's say mom's in town for a weekend to come visit. We can give her guest passes too. The property manager can go in, hey, here's a guest pass. It starts Thursday at 11:30 a.m. And then right when it hits Sunday at 2 p.m., takes away her access. Just because the property managers and security is such a big thing, they want to know who's on their property, just because security is a big deal in this day and age.
I love it. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So like what are some of the top use cases then? You mentioned, some of the industries you guys are working in, like what are some of the problems or challenges that you guys are hearing? Maybe, we talked a little bit of apartment complex, a little bit about restaurants, like, but just like when people are reaching out to you guys, like what are some of those top challenges or problems you guys are solving?
Yeah, a lot of challenges is one of the bigger ones is like, hey, we've been using this system for so long, whether if it's keys, could be fobs, could be cards, you name it. But, I was talking to the school earlier this year and they're like, hey, like we've been using hard keys forever. Honestly, we don't know who has keys to the building, which is a very scary thing to truly think about. If you don't know who all has access to it, anybody could really, if they have access to it. Another thing is people are learning. You can go to local hardware stores like a Home Depot or Lowe's and get key fobs copied, which is another kind of scary thing as well, just because if you own a business, maybe it's an apartment, maybe it's a small business downtown, wherever you're at, you just want to know who has access to it. With GeoKey, you know who has access at what times and what days. We're customizable for that regard. And it's honestly, at the end of the day, it's just that security and that peace of mind. You know who has access to your property.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Yeah, that's a really interesting, perspective that I guess I wasn't thinking about from the outside looking in, is like just obviously security is a big piece of it, but also like peace of mind and knowing like, okay, but there's no one else out there that has a key, right? So like when you have, do you have to set up any special equipment, at the sites or at these buildings, for the people that are using this?
Yeah, it really depends what they have currently on their site, like at their business, their apartment, whatever you name it, they have. So we partner with a number of manufacturers and hardware, like Access Communications is a lot of times what we do for exterior doors or carry systems. Sometimes they have those controllers in there, so it's easy to switch on over. Now, sometimes if someone's using an old lock and key, there might need to be some wiring ran or things like that. But a lot of our smart handles, like our deadbolts, our handles, mortise locks, they're plug and play. So you can take your regular door, maybe if it's at your home or your apartment or your office, take off your old handle, put one of our handles on. It's connected to Bluetooth. It's plug and play. There's no wiring you need to do for those. That's why when it comes to things like, hey guys, like my building's up, I just want to get a little bit smarter facility. We excel in that because it's take your old handle out, put ours on, and just like that, you have smart access.
Mm-hmm. This may sound like a dumb question,
Right?
but like, do these like smart like deadlocks ever die? Right? Like, what if like I have an issue where I've had this for a few years, like now I can't get it because it's dead. Like again, dumb question. I'm just kind of curious.
No, you're totally fine. We in our portal account, so to get a little bit high level, admins who are typically the business owners that run the day to day, they have access to a portal account, which is actually something I trained them on. We have battery life in there, and we have all that information to prevent anything along those lines. Battery life in typical devices are 1 to 2 to 3 years. It really just depends on which device and how often you use it, just with any battery life. But battery life is in the portal. Check it out. Hey, it's about 20%. Might be a good time to change it. In the event something does like die for some reason, like someone ignored the notification, you can plug in a quick charger, a USB-C, gives it life for an open. You unlock it, then you can go ahead and change those batteries as well. So
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm sure you'd have thought about that.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of a dumb question.
No, it's a great question.
Yeah, let's touch on the software itself. You mentioned you guys are software only company. You have these awesome partnerships you guys have developed, but like let's touch on the software. Like, what are some of like the the top features that are most used? Obviously, you talked a little bit about setting up the geofencing. You talked about setting up like the times that people can have access, but like how are people interacting typically with the software?
Yeah, from the admin side, first I'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about like an end user or like a resident of an apartment complex. One huge benefit to our software as an admin. So like, let's say you own a restaurant. If you have somebody, hey Max, it's been great working with you, I quit, or even if they quit on bad terms, you can log into your GeoKey portal account, and in 2 clicks of a button, it takes away their access. You do not need to go to your business to take away their access. So even if you're on vacation, someone says, Max, I'm moving, I quit. Okay, log in, take away their credentials, they're done. So we've all heard nightmare stories about not happy employees quitting. They go in after hours. You don't have that with GeoKey anymore. When it comes to end users, we made our software and we continue to improve it, but we tried to make it as user-friendly as possible. It's a swipe to unlock or even a tap to unlock. It's either or. So it's the same motion as you're swiping through your photo album on your phone, like, hey, let's look at pictures. It's that same motion. Open up the app, swipe, unlock, and then you're in. So we tried to make it very, very user-friendly. So anybody of any age can use it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And yes, so it sounds like it's definitely on all the app stores. And that's like the main focus for the software is like the apps themselves, or is there a desktop version?
No, just our app for our end users, but the desktop version is for the admins. That's when you can add in people, take away credentials, set hours, and a lot more.
Gotcha.
But with our app for the end users, so one thing we are very bullish on, when I guess another extra feature for everybody, admins, end users, we have 24/7, 365-day support. So 2 a.m., if you have any issues, you can reach out to our support team and we can hop on a call with you and get you in. That's built in the app as well. In our app, you can submit a ticket, which is like sending an email. You can hit our live chat button and talk and message like back and forth like an IM, or our phone number, our 888 number in there for our support line is in the app as well. So we try to be that first line of quote unquote defense. Instead of reaching out to your property manager, hi, it's 3 a.m., I need help, reach out to our 24/7 support team. That's what we're here for.
I love it. Yeah, appreciate you diving into that. And maybe we could talk a little bit about like how you guys like separate yourselves, in the marketplace, because it sounds like the key strengths of GeoKeys is first like the ability to tailor access control to the specific needs for each of these ideal clients you guys work with, and you're going to work really closely with the businesses to understand their security requirements on most likely their infrastructure as well, and design a solution for them that's going to complement what they're currently doing, and hopefully with some existing systems and the partnerships you guys have already developed. But that's what I'm hearing is kind of the differentiator. But like, why would I go with GeoKey over another like access control company?
Yep. So the long story short is we don't want to say did things backwards, but it's probably the easiest way to describe it. So all of the credentials are loaded onto the phone. Other competitors, and I'm not trying to badmouth any competitors, to set that straight, I don't believe in that, but when something happens, a lot of them have to go to the door to take away credentials. So your employee quits. Hey, okay, well, they quit. You still have to go to the door to take away their credentials, versus us, the credential is held through the mobile device, the cell phone. So that's why you're able to go do that in the back-end portal account. Say, hey, Jimmy quit, take away his access. They can do that from anywhere. Another thing that differentiates us too, especially when it comes to our interior locks, so our handles, deadbolts, mortise locks, anything like that. Mentioned a little bit earlier, no mesh Wi-Fi is required, meaning they don't need to have building-wide Wi-Fi to get our interior locks up and running. They're Bluetooth. It's that simple plug and play. The term is called retrofits when it comes to communities and apartment complexes. Take out the old handle, put those in. That's why we are very bullish and we are very good when it comes to beating people on price, the 24/7 service that we have, the support, the white glove service we offer. And then even on the highest level, what differentiates us, we have a patent on our technology. So that's why it's like, hey, our company's been around for around 5 years. We've only been go to market for 2-ish years, give or take, because a lot of research went into it. We got a patent approved and then all this development on the back end, but it's system and method of location-based access control. So basically, the location is based on your cell phone, not based on the door. So another thing that is nice about us is, when you have a fob or any other device or another access control system, you go up to the door and there's typically a plastic thing. It's called a reader. We don't need those. So from an aesthetic point of view, you don't see anything going on, but your building is secure. So it keeps things looking clean as well.
So what was the patent for again?
Yep, it's called system and method of location-based access control. So meaning it's your location's based on your phone and where you are, not necessarily the door like other people are based on.
Gotcha.
So that's when it comes into, not to nerd out again, but the geofencing. We drop a pin at the door, draw a geofence around it. Hey, this user is in this geofence. Now they can unlock the door, which prevents, residents opening up doors from 2 states away. It's like, no, you need to be close to it to be able to open the door. But gives us the ability to say, you're an admin, you own your business, open the door from Florida if the business is based in California. I mean, it's your business, right? You should have total control. But for employees or residents, it's like, hey, be close to the door to be able to.
Gotcha. Oh, that's really interesting. That's something I didn't know. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. The one thing that we haven't talked about that I think is pertinent also to the business is how you guys extend your access control to provide also like video surveillance and monitoring solutions. Is that correct?
So that's coming. That is coming when it comes to cameras. I believe it's end of this year, early next year. It's one of the integrations that we're working on right now. So that's what's good about, not to toot our own horn, but being about software versus software and hardware. We can look at based on the needs of the market, based on developers that we talk to. Hey, I need, for example, Yardi. Yardi is about finished up for our integration as property management system and software. People say, hey, we want this. We're committing so many units if you get this done. We're nimble and we can move integrations up, down, left, and right if we need to make it happen. So, but long story short, yes, cameras are coming soon.
Oh, very cool. Gotcha. Yeah, I assumed that was, either down the road or something you guys already did. So it sounds like, that's a part of this year's plan. So how are you guys thinking about like growth and scalability of the business? It sounds like an extension of what you guys are currently doing into maybe more security and hardware. But you tell me.
Yep. So currently on the roadmap, at least for the integration side of scaling, is finishing up Yardi. We have Entrata, it's another property management system online. Yale and Schlage, they're other hardware manufacturers. We're integrating with those. That's in the timeline as well, in the pipeline. And then when it comes to physical growth of employees, so currently we're kind of gearing up for our Series A. Right now we have a great team in place. We're accomplishing a lot. And then once we get to Series A, then we're going to scale the number of employees wise to another level. Because we have a great foundation. Once we're in the mode, then we are going to be firing off all cylinders. So that's what's very exciting to hear about. And to kind of bring it all back into what I said originally, it's like the startup life. Never would know how raising money works, Series A, anything like that. But being in the startup life, I've learned a lot about when it comes to things like that as well.
Yeah. Very exciting. Yeah, it sounds like it's a great time to be there and see the company has grown already a lot and looks like it's going to kind of take it to the next level. So, from your role, like Director of Client Services, we haven't really talked much about that as well. Like, tell me a little bit about like what your focuses are Is it on current customers, existing customers, expansion, retention? What is your focus?
Mix of all the above. So my job is, hey, we have a new apartment coming online to GeoKey, right? Maybe it's a retrofit, like I said, swapping out old for us. I meet with the property managers. I show them, here's how we can set up your software. I help them set it up. Hey, do you want your pool open from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m.? Do you want it 24/7? The gym, things like that. That's what I get into with them. Give me some, like, let me help you set up for your most successes we can be. So I train them on the software, get them up and running. I help them import their current users if they have needs, like residents or employees. And then honestly, just give them the white glove service. Like on our team, the director of client services and the client services team, it's like you have a dedicated person. And it helps us get more customer feedback. Like, what is something you wish in our app we could do? If they're like, if you had, X, Y, or Z, that would be great. Like a recent update we've made in our app about a month ago or so, you can live chat in our app. Like when you can just go right back, like IMing back and forth. Like that was a huge step we made that people love, right? So that's one of the things I enjoy doing most is like, what would make your lives easier? How can we help? But then also just being a sounding board for them, just being like, hey, question. And then I can just email them, hop on a call. Also, part of my job is I do what we call resident Q&As. So let's take, for example, an apartment complex that's existing. They take out their old handles or deadbolts, they put in ours. I'll hop on an evening call. Residents can come, ask me questions or anybody on my team questions like, hey, what's going on here? Turn your Bluetooth on is typically the answer. But it's just, that's the white glove service we offer. And then on that back end, it helps me because our support team is so great. I just feed into, hey, like I'm here, I'm the property manager's point of contact. Your residents, they got the 24/7 support on call. So
very cool. Yeah, definitely the white glove is what I'm hearing that you provide. And it's so funny. Yeah, maybe your Bluetooth turned on.
yeah,
Easy fix.
I think that's one business thing I've learned here, but also my last company. Because I've been in sales for 5 years now. I'm in client services, helping build out this department and working with my team. It's all about the A show from start to finish, right? So if you make a cold call and you sound bored, you hate what you're doing, that doesn't get them excited. Okay, let's get them excited up front from the cold call, then from the meetings we have, the quotes we present. Then as long as we're excited the whole way through, giving that A show, like being excited about it, then when they're clients, we continue to give them that A show or the white glove on the back end. So we help them make them happy. And then honestly, with any sales in any company, it's like, can we get referrals or can we work with more of your properties, anything like that? But we just want it to be a great experience really from start to finish. And that's what some SaaS companies, I've worked for a couple of them now, but it's just like, I think that in general, any kind of business, not just SaaS, give them that A show or the white glove from start to finish. So they have a great experience with you the whole way through.
Yeah. Yeah, because at the end of the day, there's other opportunities and companies that are probably similar to you guys that you have to differentiate yourself with. And you could say that as well for the SaaS world, right? So like, yeah, if they have a bad experience, it's very easy for people, unless you're locked into a long term, right? It's very easy for people to just go with the competition. So I do think people processes, probably play the biggest part into success and retention and reducing of churn. And as we think about that, like in your role, right, in supporting your team, supporting residences, and continuing to make everyone's lives easier there, and you guys are going for a Series A. Like what is, I guess, like the company working towards? Like, what are some of the metrics you guys are tracking to get to that Series A? And what does that next few years look like for you guys?
Yeah, so a number of different things. We're going to keep selling. That's obviously first and foremost. Because the long story short is that the more clients we get and the more we build up a client base, your company valuation gets more. And that's not just GeoKey, right? That's any company, the more customers you have, then it can help increase our valuation and we can get more money in the Series A, which will only help us vault even farther. So that's what we're super excited for. We have quarterly goals that we reach for. They're big, they're lofty, but I would rather have it be that than versus easy and you can just hang out and chill out. So we're very aggressive with our goals because that means we are excited and we work hard for it. And it'll just be the great thing in the long run when we crush those goals.
Yes, absolutely. Can you give me an insight into like maybe what those quarterly goals are?
Yeah, so it's just in terms of sales, it's in the millions this time for this quarter. And then it just keeps growing after that. So we keep constantly evaluate that. But we're just rocking and rolling. So we're working towards this quarter. Then it's kind of funny how it works. Like towards the end of quarter 3, it's like, all right, what do we have in quarter 4 so we can help project and get those goals already underway.
Yeah. How many reps, do you guys have? And are they segmented between like small to medium size, mid-market, enterprise?
Great question. So we only have a handful of reps right now, because what's good about that actually is like we've learned so much about pivoting into the multifamily just in the last 6 or 8 months. So we were doing all sorts of businesses like I was talking about earlier last year and the year before, of your gyms, your small to medium sized businesses. Then we pivoted to the multifamily. So we have experts on our team at this point, just because the good part about being a startup is you learn a lot. The bad part is you're learning a lot, right? So we're constantly learning. Honestly, with those guys, they go after whatever they want right now because we're small enough and we're nimble. But as we grow as a company, then it's going to be more targeted mid-market sizes, even location-based, like maybe the West Coast and the Mountain Time area. And then we can segment it off that way. Right now, it's just, let's go get clients. We're not going to put any handcuffs on anybody because we're focused on getting more clients at the end of the day.
Sure. Yeah, I guess the reason why I asked is just, for everyone who's listening and thinking about like, in order to get different raises, there's revenue goals that need to be hit, and try to just work back from understanding, okay, there's an individual number of reps. Each of those reps have a specific quota. Those quotas add up to, a specific, quarterly revenue goal. And, thinking about like, okay, what's that per rep quota, and like, how are we hitting that with the amount of opportunities and leads that they need to bring on versus what we bring on, right? So it's continuing to work in the back math to get to like that, the CAC ratio, the LTV to CAC ratio. So it sounds like a lot of greenfield, a lot of opportunity there. How big, I guess, are the types of opportunities? Obviously, it probably depends on, how many doors they probably have, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's been great. So we work with everybody, like I mentioned, but one we're excited for, we just won a job with Graystar. And depending on what article you look at, they're the number 1 or number 2 developer and property management company in the United States. But we work with, honestly, so we're based in Omaha, Nebraska, like I said earlier. The local market for us has been so great. They've been so supportive. That's where we've learned a lot too. It's like, hey, that's why I went to property management company here in town called Lund Company. They're like, well, we use Yardi. We want Yardi. And we're like, okay. So that's what got it on the roadmap, is just learning from them. But we work with anybody from the number 1 or number 2, again, depending on the list you look at, developer in the nation, all the way to, hey, these people just own a couple of units, but they want more security. And then even small to medium-sized businesses. So we're excited. That's what's fun, is we're learning. Other local companies here, it's like, hey, we're going to commit to you maybe 1,000 units of our portfolio or 2,000. Let's rock and roll. And then we can talk more as you guys continue to do well and provide that white glove service.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, again, it sounds like a very exciting time to be there with the partnerships you guys have developed, the opportunities that are out there, and the growth and scalability that you guys are seeing, and hopefully getting to that Series A here very soon, which will obviously be a big step. And I know you play a big part of that with customer retention. And so I love hearing all of this. I appreciate you kind of diving into this with us, David. And again, like GEOKEY Access, everyone go check them out. Leading provider of advanced access control and security solutions. And you guys do a lot of customization. Sounds like it's a really easy interface that you guys have. Comprehensive security you guys provide. So I know you guys would be a great partner for businesses. As we wrap things up here, David, anything that we haven't touched on that you want to share with our audience, and how can people get a hold of you?
Get a hold of us through geokyeyaccess.com. And then we're also on a lot of social medias, your LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. We're constantly posting that. And honestly, go to our website. You can reach out to us. We'll just talk. You guys have questions, would love to answer them. If you're curious on, hey, how much would GEOKEY cost for my business? Reach out to us. We're more than happy to hop on a call.
Very cool. Yeah, everyone go check out geokyeyaccess.com. David, thank you so much for being here today and hanging out with us and telling your story and telling the GEOKEY story as well. Again, it sounds like you guys are well positioned to continue to grow and get that Series A. So I'll definitely be following along. And for anyone wanting to reach out to David, just go ahead and check him out on LinkedIn. It's David Warneke, Warneke. And obviously there's plenty of ways to get a hold of the sales team too. So David, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you sharing your story and telling us a little bit more about GEOKEY. And I feel like I've learned a lot about you and what you guys are doing there. So it sounds very exciting.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for having me on, Max. This was a great time, and looking forward to connecting more and working with each other.
Sounds good, sir. Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. That wraps up another episode of our Business Ninjas podcast. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. Cheers.